Did you know that tarot can be a life coaching tool? My guest today can help you get unstuck and move forward with your life so that you can make those changes finally happen.
I took my leap of faith, and at a point, I felt free. But I think as women, when we show our weaknesses, we show that we are real, because we try to look strong. We try to be everything we should be. I wanted to choose love over fear.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wow TV Interviews. Thank you so much for being here. Myself, I'm Angèle Cristina, camera confidence coach, female empowerment mentor, and motivational speaker. I just would like to invite you to subscribe to this channel so that you will always get a notification when new videos and new interviews are on this channel, and also to remind you to join me on Facebook and like my page and also join my free community. So without further ado, I would like to present our guest for today, Cecilia Lagos, who is a journalist, a tarot teacher, and a coach. Welcome, Cecilia, and thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for our chat.
Thank you so much, Angèle, for the invitation. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I really would like to immediately jump on this mystery that is tarot. So I think in English it's tarot, I think in Spanish it's tarot, I'm not sure. And I am a very intuitive person. And to be honest with you, recently in the last year, I've been playing with pulling cards and stuff like this. However, I know that it's a bit shunned on, it's a bit looked like, I don't know what this stuff. But when we got to know each other and I learned that you actually help and coach women to get unstuck using this, I was like, okay, we need to do this interview. I want to know more. So that was a very long question. So I want to ask you, how did you get to tarot, and how can you help the people watching this remove this old concept of it being something scary?
Well, it's been a long way, of course, and I also knew and related myself to tarot in that fortune-telling way, because it's been basically the way that tarot is depicted in every movie, every TV series, every advertisement. Sometimes you see these posters on the street like, I do these jobs to make your loved one come back and whatever, and I read the tarot. And so yeah, it has to be a bit with like witches, and it's related to divination, and it has like a very dark fame because of that. I think at the point that every time or most of the times when I tell that I'm also a tarot reader, and they say, oh, how scary, and it's like, oh my, I feel a bit like a preacher that I need to, I'm on a mission to change that image, that negative and dark image of tarot. And I started relating to tarot and feeling attracted to tarot when I was very young, at 13 years old or so. I was always very familiar with all of these intuitive arts like astrology and then tarot. And I had my first book, I think, at that age, between 13 and 15. My grandparent, the father of my mother, he also gave me a big book, and those were like my first initiation tools. But I didn't really read the tarot, or I didn't really help other people, or no people either like came to me. The most I did was like going to school, to class with my tarot deck. It was a very basic, ugly one that came with the book I bought. It was really hideous. And I could only just make a spread and read from the book. But it was at that moment impossible for me to make like a whole relation between the meanings of the cards and intuit beyond. So it was really not a tarot reading. So then, as years passed by, I had this sort of call to learn the tarot, and I didn't do anything about it until I was living in the US, in New York. And you have these wonderful bookstores called Barnes & Noble, and they offer tons of books and tons of tarot decks. So one day I just bought a book and my first real tarot deck. It was the Universal Way Tarot that I have until today. And it sat there like for 3 years or so. I would maybe just, see the book here and there, but it wasn't like a dedicated study until I came back from the US to my country, Chile. And then I started like pulling, let's say, a card and trying to feel the meaning and then compare it to the meaning in the book. That was like my first real intuitive exercise. Not only just reading the theory of the meaning from the book, but just feeling the card, which is very important. And all of a sudden, because of these magical things, while I was working one evening actually, it was very late, I received this mail from a mailing list that I had never ever subscribed to. And it was a mail offering tarot classes. So I was like, oh my God, this is it. So I checked it out. I checked the price. I checked the teachers and everything, the place where it was located. And I thought, okay, so this is it. And then I started going to those classes, and I ended up studying the tarot for 1.5 years with them. Wow. So so that's how it all started.
I love that journey, because you mentioned that at 13 and you received that gift, and now it came back. And I always like these experiences where you kind of go back to what you used to play with when you were younger, or what you used to enjoy. So that is really, really interesting. And then that pause, and then this magical email, I absolutely love that. So for someone who's watching this and maybe has this deck hidden there like you had, or I don't know, they feel that maybe there's something that they want to get into, what can you suggest to them so that, you know, they start exploring this gift? Because I am aware that this is a gift that perhaps we all have, but we don't all practice it. So what would you say to this person watching this saying, oh my gosh, I know I have this, but I'm afraid?
You're absolutely right. We are all intuitive beings, all of us, men and women. And especially if you start from a very short age, you can develop this gift we have. And it's as simple as just trusting the feelings in your body. Or they can be just feelings. Well, intuition can be manifested in different ways. For some, it's through sound. They hear things. For others, it's through vision. They see things. Others feel things. They are called the 4 clairs. And there's a couple more, or one more that I can't remember at this point, but I am a clairsentient. Mm-hmm. My intuition, I don't see things, I don't have visions, I don't hear voices, but I feel. And through that feeling, I have certainties that things are the way they are, even before I know them for real. So whatever your clair is, we all have them. And if they have like an oracle or a tarot deck at home and it's been collecting dust on top or accumulating dust, just dust it off and just start playing. First of all, don't fall into the scary thing. It doesn't attract demons, because I've heard and read the most terrible and crazy things. It's like if you read the tarot, you're summoning dark spirits or demons or whatever. It's nothing to do with that. Of course, there might be people who might use it for some ritual or whatever, but it has nothing to do with that. Sadly, intuitive arts have this bad reputation. That's the word, bad reputation. And it has nothing to do with that. So just see it, get familiar with the deck, see if you like the drawings, what the drawings tell you, what the symbols are. See if there are symbols or drawings that repeat in other cards, because they have a meaning. Like every symbol can tell you something. It's not only what it's written in the book, in the guidebook. So just see and connect with the card and see what the card tells you, write it down, and then compare it with the theory, with the guidebook. And then you can make sort of a mix between what the guidebook tells you and what you feel, because there's nothing absolutely strict or things like it's not absolutely it doesn't deal in absolutes. Yeah. That's something I have come to discover too. Cards might have a meaning, but then in a reading, the cards might want to tell you something that it doesn't have to do with its core meaning, and it's perfect for the case or the question or the person who is consulting you. So that's also trusting in your intuition.
I love that, and I can completely relate to this journey, because the first time I actually was gifted a deck. So I remember opening this, I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea what to do. I asked a friend of mine who was into these things, and she said, just start playing. She explained something really, really basic. And I started playing first, for myself and picking a card on that day that I felt, let me see what my guide's message is for me today. And then for the first time, I had dared to do it in my group, in my community online. And I started picking messages that the community and the person wanted to hear, but I had nothing. I didn't know that this is going to be the result. So when that started happening, obviously it was my intuition working to their intuition, and I was mesmerized. I remember the first time I picked this card, and then they, I was in a live stream and they were saying, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed today. And I was like, did I just do this? So I think the playing part of it is really important. And I think what's nice is that when we practice with this, we really heighten our intuition, because since you're relying on, I think I'm like you, I'm the clairsentient, but I think the one that we missed maybe is the clairsapience. Is there the one of knowledge and knowing? I'm not sure.
No, there's something. There's always one that I forget about, but it's I can't remember now.
Don't worry, maybe if the viewers know it.
Feeling and something else. Well,
comment below if you know. Yeah. Please remind us. But it's really interesting how even I heightened my intuition whilst playing with this. So is this something that happened to you and that happens to you as well when you're working with clients, making them realize this gift that they have?
Yeah, well, to be honest, in the beginning, when I started, and when this email came to me, when I received it, and when I started classes, I started, of course, reading it as a prediction tool. Because I didn't have this consciousness, this awareness about this other kind of use, the right use, in my opinion, for tarot. So, of course, it's way more difficult to connect with your intuition when you are supposed to divinate and to guess things that are going to happen. And you are supposed to tell things that people are expecting to be told because they want some prediction to get certainties. And when that happens, and you need to fulfill that expectation from them, but it's also the expectation from yourself, because you want to be a good tarot reader and you want to aim, you want to be spot on what you say. And it's very draining. It was for me very draining from the first years. So draining that there was a moment that I started feeling sick. I started falling because I think I was getting, first of all, very troubled clients, with lots of drama in their lives, and they didn't see the life from a responsibility perspective. Like, you know what, I want to know what I can do to turn my life and get it to a better place. But they wanted someone to tell them that things were going to be okay and that's it, as if destiny arrived by magic. And that was very draining at a point that, as I told you, I was falling sick, and I decided to cut it out. Like, I'm not going to read the tarot anymore. I didn't feel like it. I was so tired of it. And anyway, my clients were super happy. I mean, my intuition was working anyway, but I didn't like the energy. My energy was being sucked by the need of my client, and I was allowing it to, and I was like just trying to help them by telling them things that were going to happen or not. And until I stopped with reading the tarot for several years, I can't remember, maybe 5 years or something. And I was really tired. I couldn't really think of it until I came across the work of a woman who is now retired from this because she had like a mystical delirium, and now she's all about Jesus and the Bible, and she condensed the tarot. It's crazy. I'm not going to know, but this woman was connected to angels, and angels have been a theme, something my whole life since I was very, very young. So I immediately connected with her and her work. And through her work, I started connecting with the angels. And then she issued, along with a wonderful tarot author called Radley Valentine. He's still in the business, and he's wonderful, and I love him. He's pure light. And they started issuing several tarot decks. And their way of creating these tarot decks was totally positive or totally enlightened. It didn't have the negative, terrible, self-fulfilled drama prophecy of the old way of reading the tarot. And of course, it emphasizes the responsibility of the consultant in the way they can react when they come across problems, or the way they can change themselves in order to change their lives, like change inside to change the outside. So I totally connected with that. It totally resonated with me. And then I started reading the tarot again, and the clients I attracted were completely different. I never got tired again. I never got drained again. On the contrary, I started feeling energized, happy, super uplifted every time my session ended, even if it was 2 hours long. So that was my re-entree to tarot. And coming back to your question, that's the way that your intuition heightens, because you are connected to the light in order to read it. And of course, in the experience, lots of experience, you connect with the drawings, you connect with the person who's in front of you, because it's from a place of responsibility, it's from a place not of fortune telling, where you also conditioned the other person to expect things that might not happen, because the future is always in motion. You cannot, there are things that you cannot control, and it's very responsible for me to say you're going to meet a tall, dark stranger tomorrow at 10 a.m., because then I condition them to only be looking for tall, dark strangers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or there are people who have been told that they are going to die at 40, and they live for 10 years terrified of getting to 40 because they're going to die because some fortune teller told them so. So
no, I love the fact that you mentioned the energy behind things. This is something as well that I do in my practice and in my coaching business. It's very important. One, for you, that as soon as you started realizing it's making you unwell, you paused on that and you said, you know, let's see what is going to actually fill my cup rather than give. But also the fact that when clients come to you now, they don't come as a please, like, throw your magic wand around and let me know if I'm going to win the lottery, but rather you get them, how you use it in your description is you get them unstuck and kind of make them remember who they are on the inside. Is that a good explanation?
Yeah, an example. I had a very, very graphic example of this. Maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, a client from Chile, because I read the tarot online mostly. I live in the Netherlands. And by the way, online works exactly the same as in person, because it's about energy and connection. It has nothing to do with physical presence. And well, she wanted to know why she couldn't switch jobs or go to another job, because she was 3 years trying and she was stuck in this job where she was very well paid and she loved what she did, but she had a very abusive male boss. And this male boss was mobbing her, basically. He was harassing her, not sexually, but in terms of probably in a chauvinist way, like putting down her job, looking down on her, kicking her out of opportunities, always criticizing her in a very, very bitter, cruel way. So she wanted to she was looking for another job and she wanted to go to another job, even though she was kind of well there, except for this boss, for 3 years. So of course that says to me immediately that there's something deep down inside her that makes her stay there and not to find the other job, because maybe she wants to stay there. So okay, let's see the cards and what they tell us in order for you to have some clarity, and maybe you can shift some things here and there, because Colette Baron-Rich is a wonderful oracle and tarot author, and she has a very spot-on phrase. It says, it helps, it doesn't predict, but no, it's not to predict, but to help you shift. So what could I tell her in order to help her shift? And the thing is that we discovered, or we saw on the cards, that she, of course, was having this sort of a toxic relationship with his boss, and she couldn't go to another job, or she couldn't find another even though she made it through the interviews and she was the ideal candidate and she got to the final stage of the selection process, but she never landed the job. So the things that unconsciously she needed and she wanted to stay where she was, because she wanted to prove her boss wrong. So they were in a toxic sort of relationship. She wanted with all of her might to change him and change his attitude and his opinion about her, so she could feel realized and fulfilled. Because the money was good, the job itself was good, the only dark spot was the boss. But she wanted to prove him wrong. She wanted to make him see that she was right and she was good. So that was the thing. And she hadn't never realized it. 3 years looking to change jobs and not landing it, there was something that she was unconsciously doing in order, or something that was drawing her to stay there toxically. Yeah. And it was that. And she would have never believed it, or she couldn't see it. So we unearth unconscious things. And she totally thought and felt that it made sense. Mm. And when I told her that, now that you are aware of this, be ready, because things might happen. It's either that you are going to land another job, it's either that they are going to fire you, or maybe he's going to change, or he's going to be fired. But the thing, now that you have it on top of your mind and you are aware of it, it's not going to keep the same. It's not going to be the same anymore. There will be changes. And in the meantime, you can, yeah?
I love that example because it's something we can all relate. This doesn't have to necessarily be in work, but as a coach as well, I experience it that when I have a client in front of me, for me, it's very clear how they need help and support with. But when I can't see it, I would need someone to show me the way. So I was going to invite you actually, Cecilia, to just look in the camera and look into the eyes of someone who might be your future client and perhaps explain to them how you are able to help them. Maybe it will take like 30 seconds, 1 minute. Just let them know how you can help them with getting them to start making this shift.
Yeah, well, just to finish the story, the thing is that 2 or 3 weeks later, she WhatsApped me and she told me that she had been fired.
Oh, wow.
With a very good indemnification because she had stayed very long in that job. So she had like a year and a half to just think and recreate her life to decide what she wanted to do. So
that's
it was
really amazing.
powerful.
Exactly. Really, really powerful. So go for it. Take this opportunity and, connect with your future clients.
Yeah, exactly. If you are a place of, if you feel stuck in your life, if you feel that you're always repeating the same patterns, always attracting the same kind of relationship, whether you're a man or a woman, but mostly really I work with women, to be honest. But if you always attract the same kind of relationships, if you are fed up with your life, in whatever area of it, or if you think that you're not going forward or you're not where you want to be, or you have some fears or doubts about this or that situation in your life, sometimes are small things, but we need some clarity and reassurance from someone else. So then, of course, the kind of tarot reading that I can give you, the kind of tarot session is one that is very loving. I connect completely with from heart to heart, and I can definitely help you see for real and with total honesty and clarity. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I'm going to tell you how you can turn your situation around, how you can create your best life, but then the responsibility is on you. It's like going to the doctor. You want to know what's happening. The doctor is going to tell you what happens. This is wrong with you or with your life or this or that, different ways to focus it, different approaches to it. And then the doctor is going to tell you, in order to solve this, you need to cut sugar and start taking this medication and just go and walk with bare feet on nature, whatever. And then if you want, you will obey the doctor and then you will solve your situation. But then if you just want to keep doing what you want to do, it's your responsibility. That's my job. That's my aim also. I give you back to your power. I empower you, which is very important for me. You can feel your power back. I give you your power back, which is very important, because no one can create your future but you. And the best way to predict your future is by creating it. So that's the thing, exactly. And sometimes there are things that you cannot control, but you can learn how to react to them also, which is very important. But never let anyone to tell you that this is going to happen, like you have no role whatsoever in making it happen, because it's not like that.
Exactly. So obviously, if you relate to what Cecilia just shared here, make sure you go in the description and connect with her, because I can assure you she is a really joy to speak to, and we can continue speaking for longer and hours and different topics. But I'm going to leave you with a bit of curiosity so that now you feel the connection with Cecilia and you go follow her and also connect with her. So thank you so much for sharing your gift and also reminding our audience of their own gift in this interview. I don't know if you would like to say like a goodbye message to our viewers, but I would like to really say thank you for being on here on Wow Interviews and sharing who you are and what you do.
I would just like to thank you for the invitation. It's wonderful to talk about these topics. It's wonderful to try to turn around this old image of tarot and to reinvent it somehow and to use it as a growing tool, of course. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's @wellness-tarot, and then we can connect. But it's been wonderful, and thank you so much, Angèle, for the work you do and for your invitation.
My pleasure, and thank you so much everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Just don't forget to subscribe. Bye, and thank you, Cecilia, for your gift. Bye.